and welcome to Sin and Fin, the Dugout Decision Show.
And we are now joined by a very special guest from San Antonio, Texas, and Louisiana Tech, drafted in the fourth round of the 2022 draft by the Blue Jays, and officially going in the history books as the first player guest on Sin and Fin. It is my honor, duty, and privilege to welcome Ryan Jennings to the show. Ryan, thanks so much for taking the time and welcome.
Of course, appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks again. So we'll get started here with our first question. And pitchers nowadays are extremely athletic. I think of Spencer Schwellenbach, Michael Lorenzen, guys who have played not only pitcher but also batter, have been in the field before and shortstop. Did you always want to pitch, or did you want to bat as well?
No, I actually went to junior college my freshman year as a two-way player, shortstop and a pitcher, and my dad saw it way before me. Like I had the blinders on of pitching. I was like, no, I want to hit. I want to play the defense. I loved it. My dad was like, you're not good enough to do that. Just go to pitching. Eventually, my sophomore year came around and guys were throwing 90, 95. I'm like, this isn't fun anymore. So stuck to what I was better at.
And then when you got to obviously at the higher levels and you realize, okay, it's going to be pitching, right? This is what I figured out. I can throw the crap out of the ball. Were there any guys that you saw? I think I've heard some from your other interviews, a guy like a Nolan Ryan, kind of a throwback. Were there any guys that you tried to model?
Yeah, I didn't really get a whole lot into mechanics until post surgery in 2020. But at that time, I was really kind of leaning on uh, Trevor Bauer and his momentum mechanics in the in YouTube, and then also doing some of my own research on Spencer Strider too. My biggest thing was trying to find a comp because at least at school I was not one of the tallest guys. I was 6 foot, which is uh, good in most standards, but when you're on a Division I baseball team, you kind of look up to a lot of people, unfortunately. So I was kind of looking for a comp like that, and came across Strider, and of course he throws 100 with a whole bunch of carry and nasty stuff, and so I started modeling a lot of my stuff after him.
Yeah, and nowadays there's stats for everything. Like in baseball, there's induced vertical break, horizontal break, spin rate, all this kind of stuff. And for stats nerds like me, like that's awesome. And but some people they have no idea what it's talking about. Are you an analytics guy? And what are your favorite numbers to look at as a pitcher?
Yeah, I'm probably a little too much of an analytics guy. Sometimes it kind of cloud the judgment, but my biggest thing is the fastball. I love a riding fastball. The vertical break is that's kind of how I unfortunately gauge my fastball success is how much vert I'm getting on it. Uh, like I may have got 3 outs with the fastball, but the vert wasn't high enough, so I kind of feel a little down on the day. But it's a good check. It's not the end all, but it's definitely a nice little tool to have.
Yeah, and do you look at outcome-based statistics like whiffs or hits allowed, or do you just look at your pitch metrics? Like, okay, I got hit around today, but my fastball looked much better than other outings. So do you focus on like outcome-based things or more like peripheral metrics?
Yeah, for me, it's mostly just the metrics. I try to stick with what I can control there. If I can get the fastball with a solid vert going on it, slider moving the way I want it, and everything, I typically have success, and I'll leave the kind of intricacies of all that stuff to the guys that that's their job, and they come to me like, "Hey, you're getting more whiff on this pitch and this count, or you should throw this pitch to this guy." So whenever it comes to that stuff, I kind of leave it to the guys who know a little bit more about it, and I kind of stick to what I control.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And we got some more analytics questions later, but I'll save that for after. Here's a bit of a fun question. So I know the minor leagues always come out with different jerseys, different logos for different like types of games in the season. I think that's fun. Like a Star Wars night, I think was a Bison's one a few years ago, and you could buy a Gabby Moreno like Star Wars jersey. I was like, this is awesome. Do you have any favorite minor league jersey or logos you've played in?
Yeah, we did the Star Wars one last year in Buffalo. That one was really cool. The whole night around it was really cool. And then one of my buddies hit a walk-off homer that night too, so it was even better. But just overall jersey, I mean, it's kind of plain. I'm kind of traditional with it. The Vancouver jerseys in the high were some of the best jerseys I've gotten. It's just like a classic look. Just everything about them was just really clean and classic. And I love those jerseys.
I love it. And I love that you mentioned a Canadian team too. So I love to hear that you're repping that. Going off the jerseys though and the logos, speaking to maybe the stadiums, this can be honestly in your entire career, whether it's going back to college, now coming up through pro ball. Are there any stadiums aside from the jerseys and logos, any stadiums that stood out that you played in?
Oh yeah. Well, Vancouver definitely was the top one. Just the atmosphere was always fun. Uh, but going back to last year, one of the coolest stadiums I got to play at, I think it was the Columbus Clippers, if I remember that right. Their stadium was it was just fun. It was just a good place to be at. You were downtown Columbus. Fans came out for pretty much every game. Uh, they just did it well. I can never not mention the Love Shack at Louisiana Tech. That place was so probably one of my favorites easily.
And I was going to go based off that too in terms of environments. Have you seen a difference from going from university to pro ball? Is there a difference in environments and the fans that show up to games?
A little bit. I feel like in pro ball, it's more of like entertainment based. So people are there to catch a game, have a dog, take your family out to the game. Whereas at school, it was like, no, we hate that other team. Like let's get in their heads in the outfield. Let's chirp them in the dugout and everything. It was just like the fans felt a little more intense at school than it does now. You still hear the occasional banter from the stands, but it just doesn't mean as much whenever the fans are talking about your family and getting on your Instagram and whatnot. So it's a little different.
Yeah, and going off the environments, you hinted at how cool Vancouver is to play at, but I'll talk about the other Jays minor league stadiums as well. So, out of Dunedin, Vancouver, New Hampshire, and Buffalo, which was your favorite place to play in? And that could be stadium or even just living experience.
Uh, I think Vancouver takes the cake on all of them. It's no hate to any other ones because they're all solid too, but Vancouver is just it's in a big city, a great culture. Like I mean, it's like a melting pot of cultures over there. Uh, we did countless hikes over there, getting in nature and getting to the water. The weather was good. Fans came out. I mean, they sold out crowds of 6,000, 7,000 on Wednesdays in June. Uh, it was just an all around great experience.
You're making this sound pretty enticing. Maybe Christian and I will have to make a trip out there at some point because
It's definitely worth it. I'd tell everyone, all my family that never made it up there, I'm like, you got to at least go up and check it out.
okay, we'll have to put that on the bucket list. Switching gears a little bit though to more of your career as a pitcher, you've experienced being both a starter and a reliever. Maybe this is something you can speak to from university ball or maybe pro ball now. What's the difference like? Like, what's it like when you're in the bullpen, kind of chatting it up with the guys, and then all of a sudden you're getting ready in the seventh or eighth inning versus as a starter when you know you're given the ball on that day? What's the difference like in preparation, maybe?
Yeah, the as a starter, it's definitely you kind of know what you're doing that day. Like if you're pitching on Saturday, like you got what you're doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday leading up to it. Whereas a reliever, it's kind of the same thing every day. It's like, all right, I could play today. Let me see what I can do to get myself ready in case I do. Whereas like it's a lot. I'd say the routine is more compact. It's a 1 day routine. You might pick and choose a couple different arm care things here and there to kind of switch it up, but for the most part, it's like the same thing every day. And then uh, it's actually kind of funny thinking about it because as a starter, I'm talking to a lot of other guys too. It's like that morning, it's hard to eat because whatever reason, nerves coming in. It's like you've done this 1,000 times, but it just still creeps in on you. It makes it hard to eat. But as a reliever, you don't really get that. It's like you're like I could throw today, I might not. Who knows? So you're kind of just going with the wind, just waiting for that opportunity. But definitely once the name gets called, the walkie-talkie goes off. That's when the nerves kind of hit you pretty hard.
Yeah. And speaking of the name getting called, 2025, man, you get the call from New Hampshire to go to Buffalo. Just talk to us. What's that experience like? Who gave you the call? When did you find out? And how did you find out? And what did that mean to get called up to AAA? One league closer from the big leagues.
Yeah, got the call from Brent LaValle. Actually, he texted me and said, "Hey, like, come into the office tomorrow. We're gonna go over some pitching stuff, like talking about your approach to lefties." So it was me. the catchers and pitching coach ABD, and they're just talking about it. Like I think they actually pulled up Roman Anthony on the screen, talking about the approach to like a lefty like that. We walked through it, and they're like, "All right, sweet. So you're gonna go and do that next week. Then you're gonna face the Red Sox next week in AAA." And I was like, "Okay, like sure." Um, it was definitely very surreal. It kind of happened quicker than I expected. I felt like at the time I kind of like was trying to figure some things out. Some things weren't as sharp as I wanted, and then they called me off. It's like, okay, like sure, not gonna say no to that. So it's definitely cool. Anytime you get a promotion, whether it's low A to high A, high A to double A, it's really cool.
Yeah, and you've played with quite a few good relievers in the Blue Jays system. Talk about Mason Fluharty, who's making a real impact with the Jays. Braden Fisher came out of nowhere last year and killed it. And even Tommy Nance has been up and down, but he had a great season last year. How cool is it to see those guys succeed in the majors?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's like I mean, growing up, you see the big league guys and you just think they're kind of put on a pedestal. They're not humans, you know. But then I got drafted with Flu actually, and just kind of growing up in our careers, it's really cool to see him have success up there. And it's I don't know, it's hard to put into words. Just being around those guys and you're in AAA, they get called up there. You're like, dude, your dream's coming true. And then especially seeing them pitch in the World Series, like that's so happy for him, like unbelievably proud.
Yeah. And last year you had a huge strikeout increase. Just talking about stats again, strikeout rate increase in 2025. Was there a point of emphasis behind that? Was there Arsenal changed last year going into that season? And was there a reason behind that, or was it just kind of how things turned out?
I think it was just kind of how things turned out. Things started clicking a little bit with more around the zone. I think especially being in the reliever role, it's like give them all you got for 3 outs, and they kind of worked out in my favor that way.
I did a little studying on your arsenal, and last season your slider was your most used breaking pitch, thanks to TJ Stats. I found that over your curveball, and so far in spring training, your curveball has been used more exclusively. This could be another baseball savant like tracking error, but is the curveball usage being more prioritized going into this year, or is that just like something that came out as a fluke?
It's not necessarily being prioritized, but the slider shape has kind of taken a hit, and we're kind of working on that to get it back to where we need it to. Um, for whatever reason, the curveball's been something I can always pull out of my back pocket and dump in there. So in those competitive environments, I'm kind of using that right now to kind of keep me in counts as we wait on the slider to kind of come back to where we need it to be. So it's not really something we're working on. It's kind of something that happened to be that way.
Yeah.
And then looking at the overall arsenal, speak to us a little bit of where that is, sort of the mix of four seam, slider, curveball, changeup, maybe how that's developed over the years. And is there anything maybe this offseason that you're particularly tinkering with?
Yeah, I've kind of had the same arsenal since probably high school. Fastball, slider, curveball, changeup, and up until I guess it was 24, I believe. I changed my slider or my changeup to a split. And that was a huge switch up for me because that, for whatever reason, the kind of feel of the changeup never clicked with me. And I've always been a throw it as hard as I can type of pitcher with the four seam slider, like just let it rip. And the changeup was just kind of like a finesse pitch, and I just could never figure it out. So we made it a little tweak, go into a split, and it was just like another pitch. I could just like let it rip and let it do what it does. So that was the only change I've really made in like the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years of throwing a baseball. Um, it's kind of credit to my dad. He taught me a lot of the pitches I do have now. Uh, just watching baseball growing up, he taught me fastball, cutter, slider, changeup. I couldn't really ever figure out the cutter because then we moved to the slider after that. And then I remember watching Texas A&M game on TV actually, and a guy was spiking his curveball, and it was a nasty curveball, and no one could hit it. So I went outside and was like throwing tennis balls with it against the wall, and eventually I started throwing a baseball with it, and it just kind of worked out. So it's got me where I'm at now, and then having the technology to kind of refine it too. So it's been a kind of a perfect storm.
Because we see it on the graphics these days, man. There's like sweepers, cutters, like splinkers. They're coming up with all kinds of new names all the time. Are you trying to stick to more of like a traditional mix and not trying to delve into because there's so many different pitches, and you could say, well, a slider actually is a sweeper, right? Maybe they're the same, sort of stick into more of that traditional mix.
Yeah, it's kind of the if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Um,
Yeah.
where nothing's really been an issue. I mean, up until the end of last year, the slider was really good. I mean, it was one of my best pitches. And now it's kind of getting a weird movement on it. We're tinkering with it to get it back to where it needs to be. But like the four seam, as long as I'm kind of behind it, it's got good carry to it. The splitter is a great pitch to get off the plate to lefties and go for punch outs with righties. The curveballs in the back pocket, it's the shapes are uh, above average, and then the sliders is there. It's always been a pitch I've always known. So it's like I've got pitch that goes down, one that goes a little left, one that goes right, and one that's got the fastball with the vert. So it's like, uh, especially as a reliever, it's more of the question of do I bang one instead of add one. Uh, but at this point, it's like, which one do you really bang? If they're all good, there's no point. So just kind of go with them until they stop working, you know?
Yeah, and you were explaining your implementation of a splitter, and we watch a ton of Blue Jays games, and every year there seems to be more splitters thrown by Blue Jays relievers, Blue Jays pitchers, and we've talked to guys. Is this like a Blue Jays organization thing? Like, what we will acquire guys if they have splitters, or we will make guys have splitters. Is this a thing they're trying? And they're like, no, it just kind of happens that way. So with you getting your splitter. Was that like forced upon you, or was it just like, oh, maybe this grip will work? And you're like, oh, yeah, it does work.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. We joke about that a lot. We're like, I guess we're the splitter organization now. I think once Gosman came in, like people were like, oh, this pitch is pretty good. Let me try that out. But no, it wasn't forced on me at all. We were actually, oh no, I guess it was just a couple of weeks before spring training. I was throwing a bullpen, and there are a couple other pro guys there, and the pitching coach at the facility I was at, and we were just talking. I was like, dude, I can't figure out this changeup. Like, it's just never been great. It's always been kind of okay. I've never had great control of it. One of the guys just kind of came up was like, "You ever tried a splitter?" I was like, "No, like I've never been out, like I've tried like throwing a splitter, but like it's just like feels so weird. My hand just slips out. I don't know. It just doesn't work." He's like, "Well, try this grip and see what it does." And I let it rip, and they were like, "Yep, you're gonna throw that." It was like it was a really good splitter for my first time throwing it, and it just kind of took off from there.
So have you gotten into the whole like pronation, supination thing? Have you found that you spin the ball maybe one way better than the other, or is it kind of balanced between the two?
It's kind of balanced between the two. A lot of people are really into the pronation versus supination bias.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a little bit more pronation bias if I remember correctly. Um, but for whatever reason, the changeup just wasn't, maybe I wasn't enough pronation bias. I'm not really sure. But it was just like, it's just kind of one of those finesse pitches where it's not one you like, or at least whenever I was throwing it, it wasn't like, that's a pitch I can rip. It was like I'm trying to feel it a certain way, which never really works for any pitch you try to throw that way. But the splitter was just a lot better cue for me to like just throw it like fastball. I don't have to do anything with my wrist or my arm, or I don't have to manipulate it any sort of way. It's just like same thing as the fastball. So I think that's why it worked well for me.
And then going back to some of the MLB guys we mentioned, like a Mason Fluharty, a Tommy Nance, a Braden Fisher came through the system recently. There's other guys mixed in there as well. Are there any guys like that, or maybe even other guys that you're now with in Major League camp at spring training? Any guys that you've maybe gravitated to, or even just guys? Again, we saw this 2025 Blue Jays playoff run, man. It was incredible. We've talked about it endlessly on this run. Were there any guys that you were maybe in touch with and just thinking, this is super cool where these guys are, and I'd love to be there one day? Any of those guys that maybe you played with in AAA?
Yeah, I think I texted Flu a couple times. Just congrats on being there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
awesome, but for the most part, I kind of like tried to keep off their phones. I'm sure they were getting blown up anyway. Let them kind of focus on that stuff. But seeing them in spring training was really cool. It's like, dude, you were in the World Series like 2 months ago. Like that's kind of surreal. But yeah, getting to be around those guys again, it's really fun. Tommy Nance is actually two lockers away from me in the locker room right now. We joke a lot. He's a crazy crossword genius, actually. Most people probably don't know that. So anytime
Okay.
I'm doing my crossword, he's sitting right there and I always nudge him a little bit. Hey, like, what you got on this one? But
Listen,
yeah, they're awesome.
I just got to throw this one in here because Max Scherzer was just re-signed to the team and he's back there big league camp, and we know what kind of a psycho he can be on the mound. Have you gotten a chance to speak to him at all?
Yeah, a little bit, especially in Buffalo last year. It's funny, everyone. I mean, he's definitely a little intimidating. It's Max Scherzer, you know. But when he's in the locker room, he's just like another guy. It's I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. He's just there. But like you could feel his presence too. Like he got into camp, I think, yesterday, and it's just like something felt a little different. It's like having I don't know what 25 years of experience just fall into the locker room, like uh 2 or 3 World Series rings, something like that. It's just having that experience. It kind of changes kind of the culture a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Ben Nicholson Smith with Sportsnet posted something yesterday saying, Game 7 of the World Series, big moment. John Schneider turns for Max Scherzer to hear what he has to say about the situation. And I was like, that's so cool. Like a lot of people see what goes on the field, but his off the field presence is crazy and invaluable. And I'm interested in what Blue Jays organization people were doing in the postseason run last year. Were you tuned in for the whole World Series or even like the whole postseason?
Yeah, I was locked in me and my wife were on the couch watching every single game with our dog who loves baseball, which is she loves it a little too much. She loves to bark at the TV as the ball goes across. But yeah, we were watching every single game. And game 7, we were at a buddy's house, hanging out on the porch watching the game. And I mean, it was a little heart-wrenching to watch the end of it. But I mean, whenever it was over, it was like, this is like, take myself out of the Blue Jays organization. I'm like, this is like what people want to see is like 7 game series, extra innings. You had all of it in the entire playoffs. So it was taking myself out of a player standpoint. I was like, this was like one of the best World Series in recent memory. So
Yeah.
uh, it was hard to watch them lose, but it was also like it was such a fun series to watch too, and amazing to like guys come up to bat and you're like, hey, I don't know him. Hey, Flu's on the mound. Katie, come watch this. Sorry, that's not watching, but come watch. We know him. I texted him the other day. It's just really cool.
Yeah, and sadly, Aiden went to Game 7 of the World Series. A bit rough
Yep.
for him. His bank account
Yep.
was suffering from that one. I went to Game 1 of the World Series. Was a bit better than Game 7. And since you've been drafted, the Blue Jays have been firmly in contention. We won't talk about 2024, but every year outside of 2024, the Blue Jays have been spending, have been wanting to win, and I think it was 2021 where the Blue Jays signed George Springer, made a run, didn't get into the playoffs, and then you get drafted in the organization, and then they've just been firmly in contention since. How cool has that been to be in an organization that truly wants to win?
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, um, it kind of trickles down too, because you just see everyone kind of fighting for that, especially being the only team in Canada. It's kind of another thing they push. Like you're playing not just for Toronto, but you're kind of playing for the entire country of Canada, which is really cool because you get so much backing and support. So it's definitely really cool to see them go out and have success, and it's just kind of pushes you to want to get up there too, because it's like if you see these guys they're bringing in, it's like crap. I gotta beat that guy out now. But it's like it's a positive competition. It's not like oh great, like I can't get up there. It's like no, that's the standard they want. Like I gotta push myself to have that success and prove that I can do that, and then hopefully that pushes the guys around me to do that. And you create a good culture of guys just wanting to get better.
And speaking to some of that success and how you can maybe continue to develop that, looking at this offseason in particular, again, you made it up to AAA, you're with the Bisons. Sort of where's the expectation at for 2026 and how did you develop maybe through this offseason? Again, first offseason after playing with the Bisons, was there any emphasis maybe on strength, on I need to move better, on anything arsenal wise, any particular focus for the offseason?
No, the biggest thing was just get healthy, stay healthy. By the end of the last year, it was like body was feeling a little bit. I'd been I think 20 straight months of in season playing with the
Oof.
previous year and the fall league. It just never really shut down. So it was nice to kind of have some time off and just kind of recoup and recover, and then get back to it. Uh, really focus was just do what you've done in the past. Like everything's good enough. Just keep putting the work in and getting a little bit better. Uh, as regards to like physicality, it's the strength's there, a little bit more mobility focus. But it's just kind of keeping the train moving forward, you know. Like there's no reason to stop it just because you're satisfied where you're at. It's just keep it moving forward a little bit.
Yeah, and I was curious of what your thoughts were on the Arizona Fall League because I looked at your stats. I think you had a 0 ERA and 9 appearances. Like you killed it there. And it's a great spot for players who may have missed time to go and have another opportunity there. Did you like the Fall League, or did it feel weird that minor league baseball was so far into the season? And yeah, what were your thoughts on the Arizona Fall League?
Yeah, it was a little bittersweet being there. I mean, you spend so much time away from home. So, I mean, you're in spring training starting February 1st, and you don't really leave until mid-September. So all in, it's like 7, 8 months almost. And then you get the call, you get another month and a half in November to go do. But then you're there and you're around some of the best talent in the league, and I mean, you're facing great competition every single day. You're around new guys that you've never been around that you get to talk to and kind of bounce ideas off of. So it's a really cool experience to further your career for sure. Um, and then the only down part was I had to leave my wife at home for another month and a half, and the off season was cut short. Um, but other than that, it was a great experience. It helped me put myself on the map by going out and performing. Um, so I mean, wouldn't change it. It's just one of those things where it's like it's hard to leave home for another month and a half. But once again, it's like it changed kind of the course of my career. So it was a blessing.
So going back to the offseason a little bit, and you mentioned that focus of trying to stay healthy, get stronger, be better. You mentioned a guy like Spencer Strider earlier. I don't know if anyone in the league is going to be able to build thighs like that guy has because his legs are insanely big. But I've noticed, listen, you're building a bit of a trunk there, man. Like, is that a focus? Like, you want to stay strong in the lower half and maybe take some of that pressure off your arm? Is that a focus to use the lower half a little more?
Yeah, that's been the focus for me for a couple of years now. It's like if I can get strong and mobile in the lower half, that's kind of where a lot of the power comes from. Um, I've never been a kind of a loose whip kind of guy, so I've always felt that I need to kind of solidify my core and my base. And then back to in college when I was watching him do it, it's like that dude's 6 foot, 200 pounds. I'm 6 foot, 190. I put on a couple pounds. He's throwing 100 miles an hour and having success at the highest level. What can I take from him that I can put into my career? And from that point on, I was kind of just let's get into the legs, you know, like that's where the power comes from.
Yeah, 100%. And last week we had the privilege to talking to MLB.com's Keegan Matheson, reporter for the Blue Jays, and he didn't emphasize enough how much he was just done with spring training. It was like 2 weeks in, and he's like, I'm ready to get out of here," and he's telling players, when is it over?" With you, do you enjoy spring training, and how's it going for you so far?
Yeah, spring training's again one of those bittersweet things. You leave home, but it's like, okay, it's time to go again. And like the first couple of weeks, it is fun. You're around the guys. Uh, it's kind of like being in college again. You're just around some of the guys. You're going out to eat. You're going doing these things. You're just kind of having fun. And then today was actually our first off day. I think we had in about three weeks. It's been in the facility at 6:30 every single morning. Once games start, you're at all the home games. If you're playing on the road, you're at the road game. The days just get really long once the games start. Uh, but for me, so far, I feel like spring training's been flying by. I looked up and it was March. I'm like, holy cow, we only got 3 weeks left, and then we're hitting the road. So now it's like, crap. Do I am I ready to go to Buffalo right now? And the temperature up there, it's like, let me take advantage of the Florida weather for a little longer. But um, yeah, it's you kind of hit your peaks and valleys with it a little bit. It's like you have your high moments where you're like, hey, off day, let's go to the beach, let's go do this, go golfing, let's do that. And then you kind of hit a streak of 6, 7, 8 days in a row of 10-hour days. You're like every time I come home, it's like I just want to lay down and go to sleep. But it's good. It's fun to be here. It is work though, so it's a little bittersweet.
I'm glad you mentioned that about Buffalo too and the weather because we're both in St. Catharines, Ontario now, which is about like 45-minute hour drive from Buffalo. I'm from Toronto, Christian's from New Brunswick in Canada. Listen, man, it's still cold. Like it's March and it's still cold up here. So we both wish we were down there in Florida. But
Oh yeah.
speaking again of spring training, you're ramping up, getting ready for the season. Where's sort of the mindset at? Are there any particular goals you're looking for? Again, is there anything maybe velo wise, anything pitch shape wise, or just anything in general for the season? Is it just staying healthy, getting stronger? Where are the goals at for 2026?
It's just staying healthy and the biggest focus right now is the slider, getting that back to it's kind of taking on a cutter shape a little bit, just getting it with a little more depth to it. But other than that, if the fastball velo can stay consistent and keep riding the way I want it to, take off up top and get the slider back into the shape I needed to, I think I can have a lot of success.
And then I know you're more so a reliever now, again, as you've developed through pro ball, but maybe go back to your days of being a starter. Listen, who knows if there's a future being a starter down the road. Are you that kind of guy? And again, I mentioned someone like Max Scherzer because we remember what he was like in the playoffs. He's that guy where when he's on the mound, you don't say a word to him before he goes into the game. Are you that kind of a guy? Are you superstitious at all? Is there anything that you have to do before a day where you're going into a game, or are you kind of like easygoing with it, go with the flow kind of thing?
No, a lot more easy going with it for sure. Kind of gotten away from the whole superstition thing because it's just like if I put my faith and courage in that, it's like, well, what happens when it doesn't work? It's like then it's not really that superstitious anymore. But I feel like most of it comes from the routine. It's like I'm gonna do this today because it makes my body feel good. It's not something I need to do, but it's something I feel that gives me an edge. Um, but yeah, it's just try to have fun with it. That's the biggest thing about this game is as soon as I start taking it too seriously, I start not having as much success. It's just like go out there and have fun. It's part of the that's why it's called a game and not a job most of the time. It's like just go have fun
Yeah.
with it.
And with that
Yeah.
difference of being a starter versus a reliever, have you found that maybe there's any benefits to being a reliever? Like if you're only out there for an inning or two, can you throw harder or can you stay healthier that way? And do you prefer being a reliever, would you say, or more so being a starter?
Yeah, I don't know. Shoot, I've been asked that question so many times since transitioning. It's like I don't know if I really have a favorite because I really enjoy doing both of them. Like they both have their benefits. I can't say that I've noticed a velo tick in the pen at all either. I think my average velo up is up a little bit more. So later innings as a starter, it kind of starts to taper off. But my max velo as a starter and my max velo as a reliever are pretty much the same. Uh, but it is kind of nice. Like when I first transitioned, my first outing, I went out, had 3 outs. I think it was like 12 or 15 pitches or something. And they're like, all right, you're good. I'm like, that's really all I had to do is just go out there one time. So it's definitely getting used to that. It's like, all right, get 3 outs. That's your job. Like get 3 outs before they touch all four bases. And when you simplify it like that, it makes it a little bit easier. I, it's like you can pitch with a lot more confidence. Like this guy's batting 350, which is kind of a wild number, but I'm still going to get him out, 65% of the time. If I can do that to every single guy, it's makes 3 outs a little easier. So it's just trying to simplify the game as a reliever for sure.
Yeah. And when you were talking about off days before, you mentioned golf, and baseball players do a lot of different things. I think Chris Bassett was a big hunting guy. Um, is there anything that you do as a pitcher? And also Dylan Cease is a big yoga guy, I guess. That's why he chose number 84. Is there anything that you choose to do on an off day or in the off season?
Um, it's kind of a wide variety of things. I would love to hunt, but I don't have a place to, so I kind of hitch rides with my brother every once in a while. Um, I do like to golf, but kind of few and far opportunities. It's just like, do I really want to go out and spend $100 and just get mad at myself for hitting 100 shots? But it's kind of a little bit of everything. In the off season, it's always my wife always has house projects for me, so we put new floors down in our house this year, so that took up most of my extra time. Me and my buddy here, we play video games a lot. I mean, most of the time you get home from the field, you're kind of like, I don't want to do anything. I just want to do some brainless work, and you get on some video games and kill a little time before you go to bed. But yeah, there's nothing that like I just spend a whole lot of time doing. I like to do a little bit of everything. I used to fish a whole lot. Uh, love doing that. Haven't really gotten a whole lot into it recently, especially with moving. And I mean, you're one day in Manchester, New Hampshire, one day you're in Buffalo, so it's hard to kind of keep a pole with you at all times. But um, yeah, I love to do a lot of different things, but there's not one that takes up most of my time.
Yeah, and I was gonna say again, you mentioned you're in Florida, it's hot, you're moving around a lot as well, and a lot of places that you're going, it is hot. Do you find that, especially after you have a long day at the field, you're working most of the day, when you come home, are you more of a guy that just wants to take it easy and kind of relax, or are you more of a guy that wants to be outdoors and kind of get after it and outside?
Yeah. Right now, it's definitely mostly come home and chill. But for example, in Vancouver, we were like, let's get out as much as we can. Like the nature here is unbelievable. Here, it's like I'll probably go to the beach in a little bit after lunch, just get out, be in the sun. I think there's some definitely healing elements to being outside, but also helps you calm down. And I feel like it's a lot more beneficial to be outside, laying in some sand with your feet in the sand or the water with the sun hitting you than having the phone 6 inches from your face watching nonsense, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, I prefer to be outside. A lot of times when I get back here, it's I don't know, 5 o'clock. It's like, let's eat dinner, let's go to sleep, you know.
Yeah, true. And going back to some of the pitching stuff, man. Speaking of the phone, we're guilty of it. A lot of us are these days. We're on the phone a lot. So I'm scrolling through. I'm seeing guys throwing gas, throwing 100, throwing 105. Guys are throwing crazy these days, velo wise. Have you ever had sort of that realization or feeling within yourself, like, man, I'm throwing the crap out of this ball. Like I'm getting mid 90s, upper 90s. Like there's not many people that can do that in the world. Have you ever sort of had that realization that I could throw the crap out of this baseball?
Yeah, I had that in school a little bit, and I've kind of gotten spoiled with it now, where it's like I'll have a 91, 93 day, and I'm like, oh, great, man. I'm not throwing very hard. Like, this isn't good. And you kind of got to put yourself back into reality. Like, actually, no, like, that is pretty hard. It's still really hard to hit that pitch. But yeah, whenever I was in school, it was like, when it was new, it was like, I could throw the crap out of this thing. This is awesome. Nowadays, it's like, and like you said, you see guys like Paul Skeens throwing 99, 100,
Yeah.
uh, countless guys throwing over 100. It's like, okay, I'm not throwing that hard, but when you step back and put it into reality, it's like, okay, it's still really cool what I get to do.
So was that the shift when maybe you were a shortstop and maybe you realized like, okay, if I can get on the mound and throw this ball like 90 miles an hour, maybe that's why I need to become a pitcher?
Yeah, that was my I was actually just scrolling through my phone earlier. It was kind of funny. It's gone through some of my junior college messages and we had videos of bullpens and stuff. He was trying to get recruited and whatnot. And me and my buddy, our goal was to hit 90. So like back then it was like we were still young. We were like, let's just try and throw as hard as we can. And we were at 89, 89, 89, and finally one of us hit a 90. So we were like, dude, no way. Um, but it's definitely kind of a new thing. Once I got post surgery, it was new to me. So it's definitely a little bit of adjustment there. But it's really cool regardless. You kind of grow up into it and it's you kind of get lost in it a little bit whenever it is your job and you're kind of around it all the time. But just taking that step back and realizing what you get to do and what you're able to do is really cool.
Love it, man. Love it. Listen, we've really appreciated you taking the time today. I have to leave you with one more question here. Speaking again, as a player, you've been through all kinds of stadiums, all different levels, all different fan interactions, which you mentioned. Are there any maybe that have stood out? Any funny fan interactions that you've experienced, or just any funny stories you may have going through the different levels you've been at?
Nothing crazy. The craziest one I remember was at school when we were playing Southern Miss. Our bullpen was backed up to pretty much there was a chain link fence about waist high, and then right on the other side was the fans. So I remember being down there at one point in the game and just hearing random things about people's like ex-girlfriend's sister or like their mom and like I'm like, dude, how do you have all this information? Or like the guys who weren't on scholarship and stuff. I'm like, where are you getting all this information? But it's funny to hear because most guys don't really take it to heart. It's like it's kind of just part of it. It's just kind of funny. You kind of giggle at the ones that are you're like, okay, that was a good one. I don't know where you got that, but that was a good one. Um, but it's just kind of it's one of those things you kind of listen to. You're like, it's just kind of funny, you know. But just don't let it get to you that much.
And so we're not at that point yet where we're like signing body parts or signing anything crazy on fans.
Not yet, not yet. Mostly just player cards right now and baseballs.
Cool. Well, listen, hopefully the fans are tame at Buffalo, and if we eventually see you with the Jays, the fans are tame there as well. We've heard they're great. Again, we're both Jays fans, and we're humble. We'd like to think we're good fans, so hopefully the rest will treat you well as well. Listen, Ryan, we
Awesome.
really appreciate you joining us today. It was great to chat with you. Again, you're our first player on the show. You're going in the history books. We absolutely love the fact that you joined us today. All the best for 2026. We're looking forward to watching your development and hope to see you in Toronto one day.
Awesome. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, really, really happy I got to be the first one. So hopefully it's can kind of start the snowball effect a little for y'all.